y'all, this is Jamie. Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be testing out and reviewing the Desert Sage eyeshadow palette from Profusion Cosmetics. But before we get into that, question of the day: what is your favorite flower and or plant? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's go ahead and get into it. All right, I scooted y'all back just a little bit. Y'all were like super close. So I am on a bit of a time crunch, so this is gonna be a quick video. I took a bunch of notes, so hopefully I stay focused. This is the Profusion Cosmetics Desert Sage palette. This is relatively new, I would say like within the last month. Profusion Cosmetics is an affordable brand that you can get at Walmart. I think it used to be sold at Target. I'm not sure if it still is. And then you can also find some of their stuff at TJ Maxx as well. That is actually where I first tried the brand. So as always with these reviews, we're gonna go through product details. I'm going to show y'all the application process, and then we are going to talk about pros and cons before my final rating. So, product details. Let's do it. All right, so as I said before, this is the Desert Sage palette. This actually came with a full collection. The collection also includes the Blend and Wander makeup sponge with a cactus case for $6, the Blend and Stand 4-piece bag and brush set for $11, and then the Wild Child magnetic lash set for $14. Now these prices that I'm saying right now are the prices for Profusion Cosmetics. I am almost positive that they are lower at Walmart. So this is the palette right here. It is shaped like a succulent, which if y'all didn't know, I think I've mentioned it several times on my channel, but succulents, that is my answer to the question of the day. Succulents are my absolute favorite. I actually have that in the red right there. My dad got that for me for Valentine's Day. Those are succulents, and then I'm looking at some succulents right here. That right there are a bunch of succulents that I have as well. I was really excited to see this and really excited to get my hands on it. So there are 25 shades with earthy tones and blooming colorful hues, and it has inside different sized pans. It is a mixture of shimmers, mattes, and glitter shades. There are 16 mattes, 8 shimmers, and then 1 glitter shade in the center. This is $14 on the Profusion Cosmetics website. I got it at Walmart for $12.98. So let's go ahead and do some swatches. So we are starting in the middle and working our way out. So starting with the middle shade, this is the glitter shade Rare. Then we have Coast, Cactus, Succulent, Wanderlust, Mojave, and Oasis. Next up we have, these are all matte shades. We have Sage, Hot Spring, Canyon, Bloom, Serene, and Mossy. Next up, these are also all matte shades. We have Disconnect, Tumbleweed, Free Spirit, Distance, Wild, and Death Valley. And then the last little ring, we have a mixture of shimmers and mattes. We have Adventure, Golden Hour, Heatwave, Joshua Tree, Boundless, and Uninhabited. So those are all the swatches. Now let's go into the application process. All right, so what I decided to do with my look today is I took the shade Hot Spring and I put that like just below my brow. And then I went in with the shade Sage. That's kind of the lighter of the two green matte shades. And I put that in my crease just below that Hot Spring shade. So then I decided I wanted to kind of create a look that was similar to the very first tutorial that I ever did on my channel. This kind of like green and gold look that I did. And it was a spotlight eye or a halo eye. And so I decided to do that today. So I took the shade Mossy and I actually kind of mixed that with the shade Death Valley. And I put that on the outer corner as well as the inner corner, kind of the outer third and the inner third. And then with the little space that was left in the center, I went in with the shade Golden Hour and I put that in the center. Really love this shade. And then for the lower lash line, I just went in with the shade Coast, which is that gold shade. I love putting shimmer shades and pops of color on the lower lash line. All right, so let's get into the pros and the cons of this palette. So let's start with cons. Con number one is the inconsistent quality of the shadows. The shimmer shades that are in the center, so these shades right here that are kind of in this little circle, did not perform well at all. Like this shimmer shade right here, I forgot what shade that is. Wanderlust. it barely shows up. So see, I'm rubbing, and then like it barely shows up. Can't even see it. I kept going over and over and over again when I was doing the swatches. I would say that the other ones were okay. So these 3 shades right here, this blue shade, the green shade, and then the gold, were the best ones out of these. This is a matte, the one matte shade that's in the center, but this shade right here and then this shade up here, like barely showed up. The shimmers that are kind of on the outside of this circle, like this one right here, this one down here, this one up here, these are like beautiful. They show up so well. They are so pigmented. They are soft. So it just is very inconsistent quality of shades. Like even with what seems to be the same formula, the shimmers, it's just inconsistent. Con number 2 is the size of the pans. So because of the way that this is laid out, you have kind of smaller pans and then also larger pans. And I don't like the smaller pans. Like I could barely get my finger into it. And I also feel like I'm maybe not getting as much as I could be getting if like all of the pans were the same size. You know, I'm not getting as much of certain shades as I'm getting of other shades. So I'm not a huge fan of the like different size pans in a palette. Con number 3 is kind of something that really only affects you if you are like doing makeup for social media or YouTube or something like that. For people who are just kind of putting on makeup every day, it probably doesn't affect you as much, but I do not like it when the shade names are put on the like throwaway plastic cover. The shade names are put on this plastic cover, and this is something that I will 100% like throw away. So after that, if I throw it away and I want to use it again, I won't really know what the names of the shades are. That's kind of an annoyance for me, but maybe not for just, you know, somebody who's just buying it to use it at home. And then the last con about this palette is kind of the packaging. So I like the idea, but already is kind of starting to separate kind of the cardboard. I can see this getting really dirty. I can see this like starting to break apart pretty quickly. It is a bit clunky as well. I do like the color though. All right, so moving on to the pros. So pro number 1 is the price of this palette. So on the Profusion Cosmetics site, it is $14. I got it at Walmart for $12.98, which works out to about 52 cents per shadow, which is a great deal. I think the Juvia's Place one, it worked out to like $1.20 per shadow. And then you have, as I said in that video too, some of your like higher end eyeshadows might be about $3.50 per shadow. So this is a really good price. You get 25 shades for $12.98. Pro number 2, I actually really like the color story. These are some of my favorite colors to use as eyeshadows. I think I've talked extensively about my love of green eyeshadow. I love how in this you have so many different greens to work with, especially since this is a plant palette. This is a succulents palette. Most succulents are green. So I do like that there is definitely a lot of greens to work with, and I love that it has plenty of other like neutral colors for you to choose. But it also does have some pops of color up here with the blues, with the pinks, this kind of purple down here, and the yellow. So I really do love the color story of this palette. So pro number 3 is that these shimmers, the outer shimmers, are amazing. We're gonna try this shimmer shade over here, and I'm gonna compare it to that shimmer shade earlier, Wanderlust, so you can kind of see the difference. So here is Wanderlust. Here is Adventure. Like, look at that. That is so pretty. And then the other one called Golden Hour, which is what I used on my eyes today. Like, those are just so pretty. The glitter shade actually was not too bad. I would definitely use some kind of glitter glue and then kind of pat, pull, like press, pull a little, press, pull. And lastly, the mattes were actually wonderful. I loved working with the mattes, and I usually really like Profusion matte shades. I will say that in other Profusion palettes, I think that I've been more impressed with the mattes than with the shimmers, and the same with this palette right here. They blended well, they were very pigmented, so I love the mattes in this palette. Alright, so as far as my rating, so taking all of this into account, all of the pros, all of the cons, I would give this probably 3.5 sunflowers. I think the mattes brought it up a half, plus the really wonderful shimmers that were on that outer circle. I do like the price. It's only 12 bucks for 25 shades. You really can't beat that price. They work fine enough. But I do think that there are better Profusion palettes out there, and I think that there are better eyeshadow palettes at the drugstore. So this was not one of my favorites, but it's not the worst either. All right, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload every Tuesday and Thursday. Give this a big thumbs up if you like. Head on over to my Etsy shop if you are interested in wax melts. A link will be in the description box down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.